Hi friends, welcome to QApedia, and this is our blog qapedia.com. Now today we are going to start our tutorial for Selenium with JavaScript, and this is our first session, so it is going to be an introduction session. So in this particular session, the topics that we are going to cover will be introduction, what is JavaScript, features of JavaScript, what is Selenium WebDriver, features of Selenium WebDriver, and what IDE we are going to select. So in the introduction we are going to say the same thing that we have spoken just now that we are going to start our tutorial today with an introduction session. So let's see our first topic, what is JavaScript. JavaScript is a versatile programming language which is commonly used for creating interactive and a dynamic content on the website. JavaScript was developed by Netscape in 1995. JavaScript allowed developers to add functionalities like if you click on a button on a website, then what is going to happen? If suppose you select a value from drop down, then what is going to happen? These type of functionalities are added using JavaScript. JavaScript helps developers in validating forms as well. It helps developers in manipulating the DOM. What is DOM? DOM is DOM object model, and it is an internal HTML structure of the website. And JavaScript helps in creating animations as well. JavaScript helps in communicating with servers as well. And last but not least, JavaScript helps in test automation as well. So this is the main thing that we are going to see today. Now, what are the features of JavaScript? So JavaScript is a client-side scripting language. So it is primarily a client-side scripting language. That means it runs on the user's web browser, not on the server. JavaScript is dynamic and weakly typed language. So JavaScript is dynamically typed language. That means we don't need to declare the data type of the variable. And it is also weakly typed because variables can change their data type during runtime as well. Then asynchronous programming. So JavaScript supports asynchronous programming. Some features that JavaScript uses like async and await syntax. So these syntax will help us when we are trying to access a web page or any element on the web page which takes time in loading it. Then DOM manipulation. So JavaScript interacts with DOM, document object model, and document object model is the one thing which represents the structure of HTML document. Now this way developers will be able to manipulate the HTML elements and update the content and respond to users interaction dynamically. Cross-browser compatibility. So JavaScript is supported by all the major web browsers. This way JavaScript becomes a cross-browser scripting language. Server-side development. So JavaScript primarily focuses on the client-side development, but it has gained prominence on server-side as well because of this Node.js, which is a server-side JavaScript runtime environment, and it allows developers to use JavaScript for server-side scripting as well, which way JavaScript becomes a full-stack programming language. Then object-oriented programming language. So JavaScript is an object-oriented programming language, but it uses the prototype for inheritance rather than classes. Then JavaScript is a case-sensitive language. So we should know this, that JavaScript is a case-sensitive language. Now, what is Selenium WebDriver? So most of the applications developed these days are web applications. So when these web applications are developed, then we need to test them as well. And testing can be done either manually or using an automation tool. So we need an automation testing tool which focuses primarily on web applications. Automation testing. Selenium is one such tool. Now Selenium is in fact the most popular automation testing tool that focuses on web applications. Selenium is popularly called as Selenium WebDriver. Now let's see the features of Selenium WebDriver. So Selenium WebDriver is an open source browser automation library. So open source means it is free of cost. We don't have to pay anything. Then Selenium supports cross-browser web testing. So we can do testing in any of the browser like Mozilla, Chrome, and any browser. Then Selenium supports many programming languages like Java, JavaScript, Python, and C Sharp, etc. Lots of languages. And Selenium is one of the most popular automation tool for browser automation, for web automation. And Selenium supports automation testing only for web application. It does not support testing for any other application. And JavaScript, one of the most popular programming language that can be used for writing automation test scripts. So that's why we are going to use Selenium with JavaScript in this series. And most of the web applications are built using JavaScript. So this makes JavaScript as a preferable programming language for writing automation test script. Now the last topic is selecting IDE. So we are going to select Visual Studio Code as an IDE for this series. Now IDE means Integrated Development Environment. Now it is a kind of software application that helps programmers to develop their software code or write their software code efficiently. IDE is a combination of code editor, compiler, interpreter, and a debugger. So we can write code in IDE, that's why it acts like a code editor. We can compile our code in IDE, that's why it acts like compiler and interpreter. We can debug or run our code in IDE, so that's why it acts like a debugger. Now that's why we say that IDE helps in writing our code efficiently, because we can write our code, we can compile our code, we can debug or run our code. Now we are selecting Visual Studio Code as an IDE because it happens to be the most flexible IDE, as it supports multiple programming languages like C++, C Sharp, CSS, Dart, and lots of programming languages are supported using in VS Code or Visual Studio Code. So this was it for today's session. So thank you very much for attending the session, and if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments section. Thank you. Bye bye.